Right. So it's been a really long time since I've been reporting anything here, and I'll try and get something done. I have been doing a lot of stuff, and the foot I thought was going to be the most difficult bit. I sort of solved, but turns out the next bit's going to be even harder. Anyway, the foot. I've also had a couple of trips to what's that weird weird fading there. Okay, uh, my hands are fading as they go in and out of that. I wonder what's going on there. Um, okay, anyway, never mind. Might be some sort of weird color thing happening. Right. So I don't know. I've did a couple of trips to Europe and a quick holiday, the diving holiday that was rained off, and I find it difficult to keep up to date with any vlogging. Let's see. So this is my original experimental foot, which was printed in PLA at one point, hard plastic, just to see if you can take the shape of a scanned foot and uh, plot it, and then try and walk around on it. What you can't see there quite clearly is there's only one main support at the bottom, which is no, the mouse isn't showing up either, which is the main bean sticking out on the edge, and then there's like two beans underneath the toes, and I was kind of tried walking around on that. We'll see that in a moment. Um, I started then trying to draw out the outline of my foot and print it in TPU to see if I can make something walkable. It's going to be very important for the two toes to be separate because these go into actual individual toes on the foot paw. Um, then tried printing the over the top, and I had this sort of heel component in there that obviously was very difficult to put your foot into because this isn't very stretchy plastic. And then one day realized I could just like chop it off and just add a little piece of elastic there. Given as the support is I don't know if maybe I can show it if I can just move that over there. Yeah, can I move over there? No. Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, I don't know. Oh my goodness, it's all totally faded. Given as the support is not on the heel, I'm kind of landing in the middle of my foot, which should balance okay. Um, I just keep pointing with my mouse, even though it doesn't do anything. Um, I keep, yeah, well, whatever. I can do something here. Yeah, so I keep I'm not supporting anything on the heel, but I'm going to land in the middle of my foot and hopefully walk as though you're kind of like walking on a sideways on a sort of handrail or bar. Let me see. Right, so that's then printing the two beans at the bottom and attaching it to see if I've got something that I can walk around on. You know, um, most of the weight just goes on that toe because that's kind of under the ball of the foot. And then I got, because obviously the TPU, if I tried to paint that like I have on the hands, it's going to rub off straight away. So I found some blue TPU and started printing all the beans out of that. And here's one of the assembly points. Now I'm going to have to go into blend. Well, anyway, you can see that there's one heck of a lot of different pieces. I think those are the ones up on the top are the. Oh, my mouse does look like it shows up. Are on the uh, sort of ankle. These are all on the top of the foot, and these are all on the bottom of the foot underneath. Um, if we go on after sewing together a whole furry bit underneath around the beans, I decided that's obviously going to just pick up loads of dirt and it's facing downwards anyway. No one's going to see it. I decided to cut it all out of neoprene. You can't use laser, you had to use scissors on this, and glue it all together using neoprene glue because I used to make dry suits and wetsuits at one point. There is this sort of assembly against the previous version to try and get all the pieces in the right place. I was at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9, 10 pieces just for the bottom. And yeah, this is where I better hop onto Blender. There we go, lovely Blender. And because I'm going to be using my mouse, I'll move my head out of the way. No, move myself. Yeah, because if you're going to look up like this, yeah. Oh, goodness, yeah. So I'm going to move myself out the way. Otherwise, you just see me staring up in the sky. And Blender, how are we doing? Yeah, okay. So sound's still okay. Let's just right. So here we are on a nice suit or nice avatar. We can sort of slice through and see the inside like so. And on this side, I've been doing quite a lot of work. This is where you can see a foot lined up. The notable thing that's quite controversial is, make sure the sound's working, yeah, is that my foot doesn't quite fit in. So one trick people would tend to do if your foot's too short is, you extend the foot of the fur out behind, because normally you just build these things round an actual shoe, or you try and stand on your tippy toes and get your foot aligned up here. But I'm going to try a different approach where I just allow my heel to stick outside so I can actually walk around. My weight is going on this pink bean here, but and my heel is outside and unsupported, just sort of in open air. And I decide if I like wear a white sock and the suit's black, then it's your eye's going to pick up the shape you're supposed to see. So let's just see what happens next. Let me pause again. Right, so this is the high poly foot, which didn't seem to be so useful because my toes were actually poking in different directions. I actually wound up using a bit more of a lower poly foot, which is, there's the high poly foot and the low poly one, right, which is an original sketch. Surprisingly, when you get things to line up with this, it actually does fit my foot reasonably okay. And you sort of plonk that on top and then carefully separate out each of these individual beans to be individually printed, and they glue together. Oh yeah, there's these little bridges as well. I've decided to stick on as well to separate out the toes. So there we go. There you can see the actual individual bridges here, right in there, and they join. Terrible engineering, but they join sort of just along a sort of 1 millimeter lip. Let's see if that's visible here. Okay, there you go. A sort of 1 millimeter lip, something like that. Add a little groove there for alignment, for these caps on top. But it means that these things here can actually rotate. You see, they'll actually rotate around their join if that hinge thing is straight. So these two toes move. These kind of like don't do very much, and that one's taking the majority of my weight, as it's on the, not on the ball. It's actually on the outside, whatever you call that, of the foot. And then there's also the bridge. There we go. There's the bridge over the top with the hole in it. That's where my foot slides in and is kind of contained and held rigid to the bottom. Yeah, so after building that, I could walk around on that kind of okay. And then you had the problem of filling in the rest. So the rest involves, let me see, we try and get most of the stuff done here. Yeah, there's the fur seams on top. when we say seams, these red lines here are the seams that I'm going to split it up at. What's quite noticeable and quite important is that I've separated out the gaps in between. The gaps in between actually have extra little pieces of fabric that are individually sewn, which we'll get to a bit later. And then obviously we'll put that first seam. Yeah, then there's the base, which is the bottom, which as we saw was those 10 pieces that made up that are made up of neoprene. Bit of kind of cutting there is necessary. That are made of neoprene and glued on the bottom, should be kind of fairly waterproof. So, and then obviously you have the individual claws. 1, 2, 3, 4. These are just hot glued in, really. I was going to do something where there was kind of some kind of structure that went in through and connected to the TPU base, but it's way too far away. There you can see the distance is too big, and it's just held in on the fur, so I won't be able to like climb with them or anything. So let's just take a quick look at the videos again. No, hold on, pause. Right, so here was the sewing up the tops across across all those 4 toes, and these kind of little velvety bits in between are the in-between toes, and the holes there are where the claws go in. Oddly enough, the holes seem to be much bigger than the claws outline, even though they were exactly the same. Now, so I sewed it all together, shoved my foot in, did a bit of sort of gluing on the bottom, and then the plan was to like stuff it with plushy foam. And I got something that's kind of misshapen. I was a little unhappy with this. And because, well, you know, you got to feel really good about this thing, I decided to be a bit more radical and go back to the foam cutting technology. Yeah, so this was actually very difficult to do blender wise. Let's go to Blender again. If we turn that off, right? So if we go to Blender, where it's gone. Oh goodness. Okay, we're gonna play that game again. Right. Yeah. So here's your Blender, and you had these voids here between your foot and all those bridge things, those caps. So I've got those nice little caps on the toes. There's a big void here between that and the fur that I'm going to want to fill with foam. So it was actually really hard. If we go, let's just take one example of the one foam here, which is on this toe. So if we hide that and hide that, oops, hide that. Okay, you can see there's this big piece of foam that I've kind of merged together. I almost had to do this polygon by polygon, merged together from the outer foam, landing it somewhere on the bean, and yeah, form an actual volume. Let's get rid of that bit of thing there. Let's get rid of your there. Okay, there's the like the face. So this was and let's actually lose that one as well. Okay, are we still recording? Yeah, okay. So now we've got actually quite complicated shape. It's convex because yeah, that shape there it has to be subtracted off there. So yeah, it's a manufacturing problem making this sort of solid model. And then the solid model, we would I would have these slabs, okay, like so. There's a slab which was 1 inch wide. There's a second slab. There's a third slab, and then these would intersect with the foam. There's like one piece there. There's the end piece, and these are 3 inches wide. So there are 3 individual slabs that needed cutting. Yeah, and there's the toe there. That was another huge piece, sort of convex. And if we hide that, we can see. Let's start hiding all this stuff, and you can start seeing the complexity there. There's like a huge convex volume here, but made from 3 slabs, so each of these pieces glues together okay. There was even I kept on having to add more foam than I expected, so I needed this foam here across the bridge, and there was even a piece of foam in the dew claw as well to make that nice and filled out, kind of. Yeah, there's yeah, and another piece of foam. Yeah, there was never enough foam anywhere, so there was another one specially put in there to join that, and sort of it all kind of fit together in some sort of 3D puzzle underneath the fur. Yeah, so I think we'll better get back to the pictures now. Yeah, all right. So I could probably move myself back in like so. Here we go. Right. How are we doing? Yeah. Okay. Let's. We got that. Move him down. Right. So we are back in shape. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. So we've got let's go find the. Oh, we're playing that game again. Just a moment. All right, we're back. We're back in business. I forgot to unpause it again. Going on long again. So the foam was the foam productions got really efficient. I can bang these things out and glue them on, and because I think it was like about 13 pieces of foam for each foot individually cut, and you would the software would just say what dimensions it was, and that kind of identified the piece. You'd stick it on, and then or you'd do 2 of them. You'd do a reflection as well, and it would carve out in about 8 minutes, which is about the time it took to set up the next one. So although the software could carve much faster if I spent more time programming it, it was fast enough to keep me busy. Then here's a piece of 3-ply glued together foam that's going into that foot or that one single toe. There they are, all lined up. You can see this whole concavity, and you can really squish them down together before you round them in. And that's kind of like the full pre-assembly of one foot. There's the one in the background, and this is like foot number 2. And you've got yeah, all those pieces with extra piece on the end, another 3 there, another 3 there, and there's the dew claw and the bit over the top, and you see the little bits of velvet in between the toes. So yeah. Oh, that's this really complicated. Almost starting to look like a bit of a cast on top. Yeah, there's that foot bridge. I'll leave that for another mention, because that's getting even more complicated. Not, I mean, I'm sort of making this design up as I go along. Each time I get to a point, it's almost like an unsolvable problem, and then you have to solve it and whatever. So that's that's original. Trying to make that cast. There's a few beans lying around. That's originally trying to make that cast, which was the standard way people were doing TPU, where they do just the inner fill and gyroid, and but they don't do a skin on it. That seems to be uh, way head bases and foot bases are made, because the idea is it's breathable. I tried using that. I didn't like it, so I carved. So I made a solid one. I mean, solid outside. There's a bit more foam fur cutting, and a sort of assembly of the next piece. So there's my lovely toes at the bottom, And uh, the next piece. Oh, hold on, just a second. No, we're good. Okay, so this is the uh, assembling it together. You can see my white little sock sticking out the back and a bit of bungee on it, and I'm working my way up the shin, and I'm running out of good fur, and I'm using a sort of lower quality fur, which I'm also going to be running out of as well. Things are getting a bit desperate. I didn't buy enough when stocks were available, and then because assumed the shop would be able to send me whatever I needed, and suddenly I go back to get some more uh, black and white, and it's all out of stock, and we don't even have any grey. The grey is going to be real. All this lovely grey here is a real problem. Um, I'm desperately looking for suppliers. But you see this sort of shin, and you've got the three little pokey bits at the back, and yeah, lower quality fur. It's going to be zipped on, but that's another story. The real thing is that you can start to look around and see the shape, and even lift it up, see the beans. But this is the bit that's driving me completely crazy. Is the is the gap between the toes? You can rub your fingers in there. Um, Not only the toes move just a little bit with my toes, but you can, if when you put your fingers through there, it feels really good. If I had any doubt, I mean, this would be a really good furry test. I can hold these feet and stroke them quite a bit, and that drives me crazy. The toe pieces. Um, that's an example of. Oh yeah, we also have to have a correct sock to go in because the toes are split, and we're working on how to connect up to the shin. And finally, kind of like we want to see, is a shadow. When I went to for a meetup a while back, you can see the spikes and the ears are coming out right in the shadow. So that's what we want. That's what we like to see. I think that's about it, really. Yeah. Um, yeah. This solid piece here, it's well shaped, but uh, we got some big problems here coming, and then all the way up to the knees and the thighs. Oh, and then that's not even to mention. Oh, it's all difficult from now on. If I thought the feet were hard, that's nothing. Anyway, kind of happy with this. See you guys later.